Welcome to This Is How We Create, a show that digs deeper into the creative life of contemporary artists of color. Discover what feeds their creativity and how they found or are finding their artistic voice. Through these intimate and candid conversations, you'll gain insights into the lives of creative professionals of color that are hard to find anywhere else. Hey friend, welcome back to This Is How We Create. My name is Martine Severin, your host. Today, I am so happy to be sharing something with you that's taking me the past 20 years to figure out. And what is that thing? Well, that thing is about hiring people as well as creating a culture, as well as fostering them and knowing when to let them go. And we're going to start off with this first part, which is all about whether or not you actually need to hire someone. And then in the next weeks, we'll talk about how your interview questions that you should ask, your onboarding, as well as like making sure that you're creating the right culture and when to let them go. At first, the question most of us get wrong is, should you even hire someone right now? And how do you know when it's time to hire someone to help you out? And the reason why I'm bringing this up, I once hired someone when I wasn't ready. And not that I even was hiring them, but they were an intern, but I wasn't quite ready to have an intern. And I want to clarify why I thought I wasn't ready. It's not that I didn't have a lot of work. I had plenty of work. I wasn't ready because I wasn't ready to lead. I wasn't ready to articulate my vision clearly enough that someone could execute it and execute the tasks I needed them to. And that lack of readiness cost me a year of resentment, poor quality work, and honestly, self-doubt, a lot of self-doubt. So before we talk about how to hire, let's talk about when to hire. So you're ready to hire when you could answer the following 3 questions really clearly. The first question, what specific work are you handing off? Not necessarily, I need help with everything, or I'm just overwhelmed, but what specific repeatable tasks are you taking up or that are taking up your time that someone else with a lot more expertise can do for you? For me, it was client communication, scheduling, and some of the admin work that I do around my photo shoots. But I couldn't articulate that very clearly the first time. But all I knew was I was really tired. But obviously that's not enough. You have to be able to say, I need someone to handle X, Y, and Z. And here's what success looks like for X, Y, and Z. So the second question you need to ask yourself, can you afford to train someone? And I don't really mean financially, though, that kind of matters a lot. I mean with time and energy. In the first 30 to 90 days of bringing someone on, you, my friend, are going to spend so much time, not less, but you're going to spend a lot of time training them. And if you're already at capacity, hiring might actually make things worse before it gets better. So you have to ask yourself, do I have the bandwidth to onboard someone properly, like right now? If the answer is no, you might need to wait, or you might need to bring in a contractor for a specific project first. Okay, so our third question. Here's our third question. Do you know what your non-negotiables are? Now, this is a huge one, really big. What are your core values? And by core values, I'm not talking about the pretty words on your website, but the actual thing that really matters to how you work. I'll give you an example. So for my photography business, it's attention to detail, clear communication, and respect for the client experience. These things are not negotiable at all. And someone can be so talented, skilled, experienced, but if they don't share those values, we're not going to work well together. And this is where I really love the fact that my husband and I, have been able to use the EOS framework. And I think I've talked about this before, probably on our newsletter, Creative Matters. So EOS is the entrepreneurial operating system, which is a tool and program that has genuinely been useful for business owners. Ask any business owners who use EOS and they They love it. Now, this is not a plug or an ad for EOS. I just know that we were struggling with our business, and we heard on our favorite podcast, My First Million. It's a great podcast. If you don't know about it, check it out. And the two hosts kept talking about EOS. They kept talking about how life is so much better with EOS. And so my husband and I were like, well, let's give it a try. And it's rocked our world. It's changed our world. But the one tool that EOS uses that I am in love with is a tool called the People Analyzer. Now, the People Analyzer asks 3 questions about anyone you're considering hiring. It's really simple, but it's really good. So do they get it? Do they understand the role? Do they understand your vision and what you're trying to build? The People Analyzer is really great because these questions, they're not really looking for skill. It's about comprehension about what it is that you do. Another question that People Analyzer ask is, do they see what you see and do they want it? Are they really enthusiastic about the work that you're doing, or is it just a job for them? And there's like a huge difference between someone who wants to help you build your creative vision and someone who just wants needs a paycheck. So the other question that the People Analyzer asks is, do the person you're hiring, do they have a capacity to do the job? You need to hire someone who has the skill to do what you need. And if they don't have the skill, then you have to ask yourself, are you willing to teach them the skill? Are you willing to take the time and use the time that it takes to teach them the skill? Because we all know about trade-offs, right? Like, your time is really precious. So you just have to be able to have the wherewithal to train in the case that you need to. But the question comes to, do they have the actual ability to execute on the tasks that you need them to execute? And the thing is, you need all 3 of these things, right? The reason why you need all 3 out of 3 is because you need someone good on your team. And the person I hired, they had the capacity. They had the technical skills. They were really good, but they didn't necessarily get it. They didn't get all of it. They didn't understand my vision or my vision for quality. And they really wanted it, but it's just like, we were missing 1 out of the 3. And I missed that when I was doing the interview because I was so focused on the skills. I thought, oh, they know how to write emails. They know how to schedule meetings. We're good. This is going to be great. But without skills alignment, well, sometimes that could be a recipe for resentment. So before you post that job listing or you reach out to someone that you're thinking of hiring, I really want you to think about the following. So what you're going to do is you're going to write down what your core values are. You're going to write about 3 to 5 things that are non-negotiable in how you work. And you want to be specific. If you say, I want the person to be professional, well, that's just way too vague. So in terms of professionalism, you want to be specific. So wanting somebody to be professional is too vague, but saying something like, I want that person to respond to client emails within 24 hours. That's specific. So you have to actually map out the work that the people are going to be doing and work backwards to think about, what are the tasks that you're handling off? What does success look like for each person? And you really want to think about what decisions that these people can make without you and what decisions they need your input on. As you're journaling, you want to get honest about your capacity to lead. Because can you train someone right now? Can you have a hard conversation with someone when things aren't working out? Because if you are conflict avoidant like I was, then you might need to work on that before you hire, not after you've hired. But I want to tell you something that I wish someone had told me. Hiring is not about finding someone who can just amplify your vision. You want someone who gets it. You want someone to want it, and you want someone who has the capacity to do it. You want someone who shares your values, not just necessarily your workload. And if you're not clear on what you're building, if you can't articulate your vision, if you don't know what your non-negotiables are, honey, you are not ready yet. And honestly, that's okay. You have to kind of do the internal work first. You have to get clear on what you need, because the wrong hire costs so much money and it costs you energy and trust in yourself. Even if that hire is an intern. This is an advice that I got from Farisa Knox on her episode. So I was too busy and I was trying to hire someone to basically do a big chunk, like half of the things that I did. By half, I mean sales and marketing, as well as client communication and client management. Farisa said this to me, and I'll never forget it. And at the time, my office, and you'll see the set of the podcast changed if you catch the videos on YouTube. At the time, I was sitting downstairs in our basement. That's where I was doing the interviews. And I am hearing, the dogs pattering upstairs. And Farisa's voice came out and she said, well, the one thing you need to take into consideration is that when you are hiring, you want to hire for one type of job that you're already doing. So in essence, every time you hire someone, you're hiring for one thing that you do. You're not just hiring someone to replace you, because that's impossible. So that's why, I had to hire a podcast manager, for example, and I had to hire someone to help me with marketing and social media. So why is that? Because a podcast producer, a person who does sales, and a person who does marketing, and a person who, does graphic design, those are people with very different skills. And you will get in a lot of trouble if you think that you can hire just globally. Yes, I want to hire someone to handle the podcast. Handling the podcast means, for example, it's a lot of different subset of skills that it takes. Or if I say I want to hire someone who's going to manage my photography business, well, that means a lot of different things. Does that mean that I wanted to hire someone to be kind of like my agent in terms of looking for clients and selling my services to them? Does that mean that I want someone to do the producing of the photo shoots in terms of doing the estimates and thinking about food, liaising with the clients? Or does it mean that I want someone to be my first assistant? And the first assistant is there to make sure that everything on the call sheet is ready and that we have all of the grip and the team that we need to pull off a photo shoot when a client hires us. So you could see how there are a lot of different people who take up the jobs that we do as freelancers because we're used to doing everything. And I love that advice, and I'm so pleased that Farisa shared it with me. That's all I have for you today. Come back next week where we'll talk a little bit more about the interview process. And this is where I am really good at. I'm a good interviewer, and I'm happy to talk with you about some of the ways that I interview. That's it for now. Stay creative, my friend. See you next week. Hi there. I have a quick favor to ask you before you go. If you're loving the show, would you mind taking a quick second to leave us a 5-star review on your favorite go-to podcast app? Here's the thing. Those reviews are like magic fairy dust. They help other creatives of color discover our show and tap into their own artistic superpowers. While you're at it, why not subscribe to our Substack newsletter, Creative Matters? Creative Matters is like a weekly dose of inspiration delivered straight to your inbox. You can find the link to subscribe in the show notes. All right, that's all that I have for you today. I can't wait to see you on the next episode. Bye.